Do you ever think about Lot's wife when you put a little bit of salt in your food? A little bit of Walmart salt there. Now, let me give you a story in case you've never read the Bible. Now, I've read the Bible. I don't consider it 100% accurate, but there's some morality in some of the tales in the Bible. But let me give you the story of Lot and his wife and family and stuff. Now, this happened a few years ago when at the time the Bible was written. This is, I don't know, a few years ago, but anyway, there were these two towns of Avenel and Goodyear. Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, I'm not sure if Sodom is the Hebrew word that close to Sodom means sin, and of course, it's sodomy. So, well, in any case, these were real party towns. But anyway, Lot had lived among them, and Lot was the only guy that was a more decent. Lot and his family were only, according to the Bible, Lot and his family were the only decent people that didn't really party with the other sodomites and the people of that thought of that party atmosphere. But anyway, it seems that the Lord had kind of taken notice of what was going on in these two cities, and sent down some angels. These angels arrived and talked, and he would talk to Lot, and Lot was explaining to the angels, said, "Look, these people don't know what they're doing. They're just innocent people." And the angel said, "No, we gotta deal with them. Um, we gotta make all this right." And Lot was arguing with him, and about this time that the townspeople of those two cities had seen these angels coming, and they come up to Lot's door and they expressed a desire to have sex with these two angels. And Lot goes, "No, you can't. You can't be doing that." He said, "Hey, look, have my two virgin daughters instead." And the townspeople said, "No, we want these angels." And the angels were saying, "Now, look, we're gonna deal with these people. We'll make sure it's not going to happen anymore." And the two angels said, "Lot, look, you gotta leave the city because you're not gonna like what's going on. You gotta split, you, your family, and your wife and stuff." But anyway, Lot said, all right, do whatever you gotta do." So Lot was packing up and had left. They got part way out, and the angels had told Lot and his family, said, "Look, don't be watching what we're doing because it's not gonna be pretty. You're not gonna like it." And I said, "Okay, we won't look back." But Lot's wife had looked back and saw what was going on, and the Lord had turned her into a pillar of salt. He said, "If you don't believe me, open up your Bible, it's the book of Genesis, and read it for yourself." Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt for looking back at what the angels were doing in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And I think the archaeologists have actually found, city, two cities that could be considered the biblical Sodom and Gomorrah. They were actual cities. And what actually happened there, I'm not sure. But I just think that was an interesting story. He said, "Do I believe it?" Not really. But like I said, it's an interesting story, and you can read it for yourself in the book of Genesis. Now, next time you're putting a little bit of salt in your food, think about Lot's wife. Maybe this little bit of Lot's wife ground up in there. Just a thought. Just a weird thought. Next thing I want to cover is this war with Iran. What's happening now? What has happened? Now, Iran has been, as the United States and Israel have been bombing, the major Iranian cities. Now, Iran has been sending missiles back to, various American-held installations in other Arab countries, like UAE, Saudi Arabia. Now, they had sent some. These have been countries that traditionally have been friendly with Iran, and they're not real happy with Iran lobbing missiles into their countries. I mean, they were aiming at air bases in these countries. I'll get to that in a second. Now, the latest one, Iran has sent a couple missiles to Turkey. The Turkey was able to intercept them and stop them, but Turkey's a NATO country, and Turkey is looking at involving NATO in maybe asking NATO to defend them. If NATO gets in the middle of this war, that could start a Middle Eastern war, because the people are going to start choosing up sides, kind of like they did in World War I, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. You can look that up if you want. That's a start. But anyway, I think at this point Trump is saying, wait a minute, maybe this is a time to kind of scale back. Maybe it's a time to put a hold on things. I haven't achieved all my objectives, but I really don't want a Middle Eastern war or World War III on my hands. Just my thoughts on this. And let's hope we don't plunge into World War III. Let's hope we're not paying $10 a gallon for gas either. Okay, let's all stay interesting. Let's all stay spooky, to quote Colin Brown. Ciao.